What is up, YouTube? Hello, hello. Here I am in front of y'all, broadcasting from a very liberal city in the Pacific Northwest. High definition television, that is. That's me, Eric B. I've got a video. I'm just kind of chilling. And it's been, I don't know, a couple weeks maybe since the last video. So I wanted to put something out. I'm trying to be consistent, trying to be regular. Next video, it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be cool. Stay tuned. And I didn't have anything in particular as far as topics go. You know, I did the hardcore one, like the crowd killer one. That was fun. That shit fucking still rules. And I've still been listening to a fair amount of that. But most of my listening habits have been dominated by like electronic stuff, industrial, friggin' EBM, some goth, death rock, post-punk type stuff. And it's not like a weather thing either. It's just like that's been my mood. That's been my vibe. Just very cold, very dissonant. I wouldn't say dissonant in all cases. Some of it, yeah, but not all of it. Mechanical, that sort of vibe. Anyway, this is not that. This would fall more under that like post-punk banner a little bit, to like a very small degree. This record's wild. It's pretty experimental, and it is. I mean, look at that. Breathe that in. Crawling Chaos with the gas chair. There's the back. Even fucking weirder. Whatever's going on in this is crazy. This was a 1981 record, released on Factory Benelux. I'm not 100% sure about pronouncing my French. Terrible. Anyhow, I said 1981 on this record. I was only kind of familiar with like one track, which I don't even know how it popped up on my radar when I heard it, and it wasn't like a long time ago. Like it was like within the last couple years. This I picked up probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months back. One of my shops got in a whole bunch of like weird experimental 80s shit and like the synth pop, cold wave, industrial, neo folk, realm, goth rock, that kind of shit. And I picked up a lot from him when he initially started putting stuff out. And he's still feeding the stacks with stuff from this collection, I think. Anyway, this record's fucking super cool. It's got cool labels. There you go. If you're a sucker for that kind of thing. What does it sound like? It's like, okay. Part of me wants to say it's like, imagine Joy Division. Or like, not even like Joy Division. We don't have to go that gothy. We could go, like the Adverts. Imagine the Adverts. If either of those two bands, like, so, and when I say the Adverts, think like they're more like post-punkish sounding stuff. Imagine either of those two bands being like raised on nothing but Pink Floyd's Relics early Can records, like Ig Bamyasi or Tago Mago, Amon Duel 2, Gong, like Gong especially. This shit's weird. It's weird and wild and really good. Rocks in parts, like there are parts that legitimately rock on this record. For a 1981 art rock record, it's pretty mind-blowing. You got tracks like Macabre Royale, Left Hand Path, Arabesque, Déserte Membra, Canadian Pacific. It's a good record. Highly recommend you check it out. Might not be your cup of tea, but I don't know. If you like what I talk about on this channel, you might at least find it interesting. The next record, and this is a reissue. It's the only reissue in the batch. Everything else here is OG. OG Press. Who am I? I'm not gonna say the name. I'm gonna say the abbreviation for the name, which is pretty commonly what they have gone by over the years. This is another 1981 record, though. DAF. Probably their most recognizable record. There's the back. Two dudes playing some like proto EBM. Came with a printed inner sleeve. There you go. There's that. Record's on black. Not gonna pull that out. Although are the labels cool? Because no, the labels are cool. Anyway, what is this music, you might ask? I don't know. If you want a template for like early front 242 or Nitzareb or like the fucking Play It Again Sam roster of groups from the early 80s, like Agram or like Pankow. Pankow would be very apt, in fact. This would be a good record to look toward. It's EBM, it's super dancey, but like also like very cold, very detached sounding. This is not their first record. They had they released like three records on Virgin. This was, I think, the second record they put out through Virgin. All three of the Virgin records are fucking great. And honestly, I'm not really familiar with the stuff prior to the three Virgin records, and I'm not really familiar with the stuff after. They kept going for a long time also. But yeah, this record's just super good. Highly recommend. If you like Front 242 or any of that other shit that I just mentioned, you will not dislike that record. You'll be into it. Probably. Bear with me while I take a little sip here, refresh my palate. George, no. That's not for scratching your face against. Okay. This, again, no, George, get away from there. Cats. Hey, stop. Come on. Knock it off. Gotta relocate. I got a cat that is bent on scratching his face up against just about everything that I put down on the floor. I don't remember when I got this. It was this year, and it was a bargain bin find. So I was pretty hyped about that because it's pretty well intact, including the printed inner sleeve. This modal coil, self-titled. I think this is the first this model coil, released by 4AD. If you like, the cover art didn't give that away. I mean, come on. And this is like it's like a studio project. They put out a bunch of stuff. And dude, stop. Seriously, get away from here. Ding dong. They put out, a fair amount of records. I think this is probably my favorite. And it's like, they're not a super group. They're kind of a super group. It's an interesting project because it brings together a lot of people that were working with 480 at the time. Different folks on different tracks, but I mean, you've got Gordon Sharp from Cindy Talks on here. I've talked about Cindy Talk before. That shit is rad, and she really brings that that persona, that air to the tracks that they partake on this record. More than one. You've got Simon, Cocteau Twins, Elizabeth Fraser from the Cocteau Twins, Robin Guthrie from the Cocteau Twins. A lot of Cocteau Twins involvement here. Colorbox folks, Wolfgang Press. That's an interesting project. Dead Can Dance, Lisa Gerard's on a couple of these tracks. Along with Brendan Perry. Robbie Gray from Modern English. You've got Manuela from Exmal Deutschland. That track's super good. Yeah, this is just a really cool collaborative effort. This is the inner of a bunch of artists working under similar terms, albeit what I really like about these projects is that Cindy Talk doesn't sound like Dead Can Dance, doesn't sound like Cocteau Twins, doesn't sound like Modern English, doesn't sound like Wolfgang Press, doesn't sound like Colorbox. I mean, they're all very unique, they're all very individual, and they bring that to this album. And while, I don't know, I've heard people say it sounds more like a comp than like an actual record, but I don't really agree. I think the songs all flow very well together, and it does play like an actual album as opposed to like a comp. It's really great. I really love this record. And it's like $5. Plays fine. Record's in great shape. Just some sleeve issues overall, but awesome. I can't recommend this one enough, honestly. It's rad. Alright, now we do have a comp to talk about. I got this at the same time as that Crawling Chaos. This is a wild one. Wutmas Archetypi. I don't speak German. I can do the French to a certain degree, like a little bit of it, but I can do Spanish pretty well. Portuguese, okay. German, terrible. Terrible. Anyhow, here we go. That's the cover. I don't know if you can see that. Especially those. whoever was in charge of like the layout. I love the artwork here. I love the cover. There's the back. But like the silver print on like the grayscale fucking cover, just it's like they're trolling. Anyway, who appears on this record, you might ask? It's a who's who of weird industrial. Leibach, Hunting Lodge. Oh God, I'm gonna. Gertickets Liga. Maybe. I'm sorry. That's the best I got. SPK is on here. And Lustmord. Oh man. This is awesome. There's no skippers on this record, which is good because it's a record. You can't skip a record as easily as you can skip a CD. It's fucking just gnarly, noisy. It's not like harsh noise. I mean, Lustmord, of course, kind of played around with that a little bit, but like, it's still very industrial, rhythmic. So the songs do have rhythm. I wouldn't say you could dance to them. And this is like kind of before like Leibach got hokey. SPK stuff on here is rad. The Hunting Lodge stuff is great. The Lustmord stuff is great. The one band that I cannot pronounce for life me. Good stuff. It's very good. This has been a mood for sure. Background music. I've been having to do classes for ongoing educational credits. And this is a really good record to have on in the background. When I don't really have to focus on it too much. This is awesome. Super good. Okay. All right. I had to reset there for a quick second. But we're back. Let's do this again. Not from the top, though. We're getting the heavies now. And this record is awesome. This is another group that it's been around for a long time. And I did pick this one up fairly recently. I want to say they probably started putting out material in like 81 or 82, through the 90s into the 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm talking about a German project called Dieform. This is their album Photograms. First of all, stunning cover art. And this thing is in mint freaking condition. Was released by Normal. There's the back. There's the spine. I don't usually bother with showing the spine, but God, it's so crisp. Gatefold LP. There's the inside. Now, describing this band is difficult because they don't sound like anybody else that I can think of. If I were to lump them along with anybody else off the top of my head, another German group, Das Ich, would probably fit well with these guys. It's very, very, very out there. What I'm saying is it's not an accessible record. Now, is it noisy or like abstract? No. And there are abstract elements to this record for sure. But it is very well composed and put together. Tracks are catchy, hypnotic, rhythmic, sometimes almost tribal. I'd honestly comfortably put this in there with like the Creatures too, especially the second full length. I can't think of the name of it, but super freaking good. God, yeah, I love this album, man. It's so good. I can just put it on and zone out. Lyrics are great. Just killer. This was 89, so I think it said 1990, but it came out in 89. Recorded between December 87 and December 88. And Dieform is primarily just one person with like support. And I don't know if the support people changed from album to album. This is probably one of the best, most fleshed out of his records that I've heard anyway. I don't dig everything this band has done that I've heard. It's like, I don't want to say it's hit or miss, but it's like 50-50. 50% of their output, really freaking good. The other 50% is just like, well, too out there, even for, someone like me. I used to really go for the out there shit. And I feel like I got to a point where, like, in my earlier years, if something was challenging and I was like, man, I can't tell if I like this or hate this. And that was like an indicator of a good album at the time. Now, if that thought comes up, it's generally an indicator of a bad record. And I don't get that with that record at all. And that's not going to be the same for everybody, like what is true for me is not necessarily true for you. If you have that mindset where challenging and hard to wrap your head around to where you're like, man, I could either love this or hate this. If that's like a selling point for you, cool. You should check out Dieform for sure. This is another album this one I did get recently because I needed it in my collection. It's like a really nostalgic record for me. I first came across this on a cassette in high school at Cellophane Square in Bellevue, Washington. I had no idea what to expect. I could see that it was on Cargo Records, and Cargo had released some punk shit, as well as some other stuff that was kind of like punk or hardcore adjacent. And at this point in my life, I was definitely broadening what I was listening to. It's like a lot of Dead Can Dance, like Miranda Sex Garden was a big one for me. It's like Mute Records type shit. So like Joy Division, New Order, also like the Young Gods, the Swans, a lot of Swans, that kind of stuff. Neurosis Souls of Zero really opened like floodgates for me, where I was like, okay, I can go outside of my comfort zone, and I can get into this stuff. So I stumbled across this, and I blind bought it, and I fucking just fell in love with it. And I'm talking about Stereotaxic Device with their self-titled record from some year, I don't know, 1990, 91, I think. And so I bought the tape because, you know, we got this crucified chimp here. So that told me a couple things. That A, these guys probably don't fuck around with religion, and that's awesome. So fuck religion. And B, they were probably also very concerned about animal rights. And you can see, I mean, you got the very, very, very famous animal testing photograph. Fuck, that picture is just disturbing. Especially as like a cat owner / cat lover. Anyway, so I vibe with those things. I connected with that. And the first time I played it, let's see, I would take the bus from where I lived to downtown Bellevue. And then I would have a stopover waiting for my connecting bus to take me to work. And usually some time between during that stopover. And so there was a Tower Records and a Cellophane Square within walking distance of the bus stop. So on this particular day, I walked to Cellophane Square, looked around for about a half hour. That tape was what I walked out of the store with. I don't remember what I was listening to on the way there, but I did not listen to the tape on the way to work. Came with a printed inner. Got lyrics to 3 of the tracks on here, and then a very stark photo, more vivisection happening here, so avert your eyes if you're sensitive to that kind of shit. You should be sensitive to that kind of shit. Anyway, I was working at fucking Godfather's Pizza at the time. And what we would do after work is we would fucking walk to the nearest Denny's. And it wasn't a short walk. At least to the Denny's that we went to. I guess it wasn't the nearest Denny's, but it was the one that we liked to go to. It's a long walk. And then we'd drink coffee, fuck around, smoke cigarettes, have food. And then eventually, at like 2 in the morning, I would walk home from there. Because the buses out that way did not run that late. Anyhow, I'm rambling. On the walk from Denny's to home, I put this tape in my Walkman and listened to the first side, flipped it over, listened to the B-side, and by the time the B-side was finished, I was nearly home, but I flipped it anyway and listened to the entire A-side sitting on the porch step to the house that I was living in at the time. It's just phenomenal, man. Like, it's elements of EBM, industrial, goth, all the things that I love about dark music is represented on this. There are songs that are just crunchy and brutal and dark, and it's just cinematic and stark. And there's like a tempo that breaks up throughout the record, so it flows very well. You can tell that the way they position these tracks was super intentional. It's awesome. And it's a record that I kind of forgot about for like 20 years. And then I remembered the album cover, and I remembered the songs. So I had recall like about 5 years ago. But I couldn't remember the name of the band. And finally, like this year, I don't know what I was doing. I was like listening to music probably. Um, and it was just like a eureka, like an epiphany, where the name just, for some reason, and I wasn't even listening to something like this, it just popped in my head. Stereotaxic device. Boom. Found it. And those aren't, like, it's not a common record, but like, it's not an expensive record either. Um, so, you know, if you're curious and you check it out and you like what you hear, they're not spending at all. Next record. Moving on. It's a single. I don't know. You might recognize that. Die cut, floppy disk. This is New Order, and this copy's fucking beat. At least this, you know, the outer sleeve is got tape all on the top, all on the bottom, along the spine. Whoever owned this prior to me was rough with this thing, man. But the vinyl is fine. Absolutely no issues. And you've got The Beach and Blue Monday. And The Beach, I believe, is just a different version of Blue Monday. Everybody knows Blue Monday. Great track. This is a great EP. Probably, I know it sounds probably pretty fucking generic, but I think Blue Monday is probably my favorite New Order song. And all the variants of Blue Monday that New Order ever did. And I like New Order. I don't like New Order as much as Joy Division. And a lot of people say that New Order sounds a lot like Joy Division if Joy Division knew how to play their instruments, which I think is unfair, because Joy Division were rad. New Order, different than Joy Division, totally different beast, but still also rad. There's not much more I can say about this. I just think it's a cool piece. Hyped. This was cheap. I got this along with that comp, the SPK and the Lust Mord and the Liveock and that Crawling Chaos. Same time, same place. Alright, we got what? Oh man. This is going to be a longer one. This one I just got recently because I picked up the second record, which I showed some time back. Tear Garden, mini LP. This record's phenomenal. It's so good. I mean, you've got Kevin Key, Skinny Puppy, Edward Cosmo, Legendary Pink Dots. 1986. This record it's so good. So good. It's so good. It's like, imagine all of the creepy elements of Too Dark Park. But with more ethereal ambience included. The melodies on this are just infectious. I love the vocals. Edward Cosmo's vocals are just awesome. Kevin Key, of course, just brings that creepiness of Skinny Puppy and merges it with that, like, almost like wink wink, nudge nudge, like anxiety driven, somewhat farcical music of Legendary Pink Dots, and it just works so well. It's so good. I don't know if I like this better than the second record, the full length. It's really good though. Highlight for sure. This record's just phenomenal. If you like industrial music and you like moody, down tempo, more ambient type industrial music, like again, Too Dark Park, Skinny Puppy, is a really good reference, but then like some of like the more dirgy Frontline Assembly could also fall under that banner. Not everything by Frontline is just goosh, 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 like a lot is, but Cyberactive would be another really good reference point for this kind of shit, especially the stuff they did with Blixa on vocals. This is just an awesome piece, and I'm super hyped that I picked it up. It's kind of expensive. This one wasn't bad. You know, it didn't cost any more than like a brand new record would cost, but brand new records tend to be expensive. But I got a good deal. Anytime I've seen it before, it's been up there in terms of what it costs. This is another one. It's a hard one to find. Clock Diva, Clock DVA, digital soundtracks. Probably my favorite Clock DVA record. It's another one. This one's just super cinematic, and I mean, it's digital soundtrack, so of course it's going to be cinematic. Printed inner. I don't keep the record in this. I don't want seam splits on this shit. How would I describe Clock DVA? This record came out in 91. Let's see. I didn't do any research, of course, before sitting down here. I'm pretty sure it was like 91. 90 or 91, doesn't matter. 92, actually. This is an Italian press on Contempo. Put out shit like Christian Death, stuff like that. I have a couple of their Christian Death records. Anyway, I'm rambling. This is just great, industrial. But again, it kind of has a gentler vibe. It's not like creepy like the Tear Garden, but it is almost fragile sounding, if that makes sense. And I would describe that Tear Garden as a little fragile sounding. It's the compositions on this record are stellar. You know, you've got vocal tracks on here too, but a lot of it's instrumental. I wouldn't say it's dancey. You could probably dance to it if you wanted to. I'm not much of a dancer, but it's good. It's so good. It's got a lot of stuff that they wrote down, and clearly it was important to them to write down their thoughts on soundtracks and cinema, and how it affected their music and their songwriting. Stellar. Amazing record. I would put Clock Diva or Clock DVA kind of in the same category sonically as like Cindy Talk. It's fucking good. It's so good. And then probably the harshest thing in here, and I mean, pound for pound, probably my favorite. I've listened to this so much. God, when did I get this? This is not a recent buy, but it's from this year. It's been a minute since I've had it. The first Psychopomps, Assassins, DK, United. This cover has been fucking partied on, big time. There's the back. Love that artwork. There's like candle wax melted on here. So whoever owned this before, like literally had a candle sitting on this at some point. And they did not clean it off before this went for sale. I'm pretty sure I didn't get it from the original owner. I got it from a reseller. This is the original Zoth Omag release. Zoth Omag were like a German label, and they released pretty much strictly harsh EBM in the late 80s, early 90s, into the 2000s. Stuff like Leather Strip, X Marks the Pedwalk, Block 57, the first Spawn Ranch, Mentalo, and the Fixer. Zoth did not put out a lot of vinyl, mostly a CD-driven label. I mean, they had singles, like vinyl singles, but in terms of LPs, most of their roster This is just CD only. It depended on the artist as well. But like Psychopops, they put out a couple EPs before this on vinyl, and then all the full lengths are. This is all the full lengths after this were CD only. And eventually, Zoth Omog sold off their entire catalog to Cleopatra. Some ended up on Cleopatra, and a small amount ended up on Metropolis Records in the very late 90s. Psychopops were fucking rad though. Like, this is not as guitar driven as their second full length and their third full length. Pro Death Ravers was the second full length, and then 666 Nights in Hell was the third. Those are both stellar albums. But very guitar driven. Think like Millennium era Frontline Assembly, or like Ministry even, Nine Inch Nails. But also think like of some of the harsher bands, like Seal Wolf, and again, any of those early Zoth Omog bands are just like really good points of reference. These guys, along with Leatherstrip, just kind of started that whole sound, in my opinion. You know, there were other groups that were doing similar stuff with EBM before these guys, but these guys really capitalized on the let's sing about Satan, drugs, and sex, and make some really fucking brutal industrial music. That's this bit right here. Rad. Just rad. Co-produced by Klaus Larson, who was Leatherstrip / Klute. Killer photo on the front there too. This record is meant to be played louder than bombs and is dedicated to the desires of body slam. There you go. That's the last record I've got. All these are bangers. Certified 10 out of 10. Would recommend every single one. Been real, YouTube. Take care of yourselves. Don't be shitty. I'll see you next time.